Hi everyone, and welcome to today's Smart Education Series webinar using SLS tools to enhance teaching and learning in maths at a senior school. If you would like to ask a question throughout the webinar, you can do so. Just click on the speech bubble with the question mark inside on the control panel, and I will be here to answer, supporting the presenter in the background throughout the webinar. And then at the end, we'll have a couple of minutes where you can ask questions directly to the presenter. If you would like to earn a certificate for this webinar, you can do so by logging into your training.smarttech.com account and then navigating to this webinar by the title and then scrolling to the end, the timer to the end, and then clicking on the Mark Complete button, and then that'll automatically pop up a PDF certificate which you can then download. So I normally have the webinar recordings with the certificate linked at the end up and running on the website by the following week. So next Monday, Tuesday at the latest, this webinar will be up with the certificates attached at the end. So without further ado, I'll introduce today's presenter. So today we have Vicky Binedell, Associate Head of Faculty for Mathematics at St Cuthbert's College in Auckland. She has over 38 years experience in education. Vicky has been using SMART in her classrooms for over 15 years and is still learning and being amazed by SMART's power. Vicky is also a SMART Exemplary Educator. If you would like to contact Vicky, you can do so. She has her email addresses underneath her profile photo just on the right there. She is at St Cuthbert's currently, and next year she is moving schools, so she's put both email addresses up there for you. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Vicky. Thanks, Vicky.
Thank you, Kendall. Welcome everybody. So what we're going to try and do today is just look at some of the tools that I like to use for my maths teaching. And so the Smart Learning Suite has a multitude of tools and games that I use. And so even if you could take away one or two things that you would like to use, then that'll be great. So in terms of the Smart Learning Suite, the Smart Learning Suite monsters, which represent for us, we call them key skills. The two that I'd be thinking of today would be critical thinking. That's Icebox, and here's Icebox over here. You can see her. I like to think of her as Boxy, as she boxes through very difficult problems and perseveres. And then creativity, because we all know maths is a creative subject, even though lots of people think it's not. But we as teachers need to be creative to bring our students along with us in the journey that sometimes is quite difficult for them. So the gamification that's offered with Smart Learning Suite is pretty good. The students love it. And so let's get on and see what we can cover today. So these are the things that I will be looking at today. So we'll start with equation editor, which of course is a staple for every maths teacher, and then shape division, compass and ruler, and so on. So we'll go through these and do as much as we can in the time allowed for us. So let's start with equation editor. So you'll see on your in your menu or your toolbar, you'll see this little jigsaw puzzle type thing. And if you hit on that, you click on that, you'll find the two Sigma keys, two Sigma buttons, the one with an arrow and the one with a pen. If I hit the one, I hit on that and I hit the one with the arrow, that allows me to type in an equation. And it has some function. So let's suppose I'll just do something really quickly. I want to work out, I want to type the square root of x squared, say plus 4. And then I'm going to insert the equation, the expression. And so the expression pops up always in the top left, and there's my expression. It's just an object at the moment, so I couldn't edit that, but I can make it smaller, bigger, and move that around. So that's when I'm at home and I'm preparing or whatever, then that's what I might use. In the classroom setting, if I wanted a nice looking equation instead of my writing, then I touch the Sigma with a pen, and that gives me this little notepad type thing. And I'll write in here. I'm left-handed, and the screen is slippery, so sometimes this doesn't come out too well. So let's say we want, take the pen, sorry, get the pen, 3x cubed minus 5 over the square root of 2x, for example. Whoops. And it's recognized my writing, and I say, well done, tick, correct. And it will pop up in the top left-hand side again, and there's my expression that I typed ready to go if I wanted to write that in. So those are the two things. That's the equation editor that's available at the moment in Smart Learning Suite. Okay, so we carry on. Oh, wrong way, sorry. Let's go on. The next thing that's really cool is the shape division. So the shape division comes from the square, the rectangle, or the circle. In your menu bar, you'll find this tool, and then you click that, and you can draw the circle, the square, or the rectangle for this shape division. So I'm going to use my selection key, hold that for a while, and that, hold that, and I'm going to ask this to divide the shape. And I can divide it into as many sections as I like. So let's say I go into fifths. I've asked it to show fractions, okay, and there my shape has been divided into fifths. But more importantly, these fifths are actually loose and separate, so I can tap on one, move them out, do whatever I want to do with them, bring them together again, and so on. So that's quite a handy little tool for fractions. Okay, the next thing is the construction tools, and these construction tools are shown by this little icon, the little compass and the ruler. So let's suppose I want to bisect this line segment. I have put the compass and the ruler here, but I would just click on that, and you can see at the bottom of my screen that there the tools are. So I'm going to move the point as I would move a physical compass to that side. I'm going to open up my compass. I'm going to choose a pen color. So let's say I'm going to make this blue, and you see the pen changes to blue. And then I'm going to draw my arc with the pen. I'm going to go to the pointer. I'm going to take the point of my compass just as I would with a physical compass. I'm going to turn it around the other way, and I'm going to now change my pen color. Let's say I'm going to make it a green color, and I'm going to draw the other arc. So I've got my two arcs. I'm now going to move my compass out of the way, and I'm going to put my ruler down here so that I can draw a line through the intersecting arcs. Now, as I move my ruler, I'm going to put the naught on one of the points of intersection. And then if I tap the ruler on the outside, this ruler moves and pivots around the 0. So I move it so that I get this to the next point of intersection. And then I take my pen and choose a color, whatever color. And even though I'm not going to draw a perfectly straight line on a slippery screen, you'll notice that as I put the pen along there, that line comes out dead straight, which is really fantastic. And then I can move that away, and there's my perpendicular bisector. So I don't need any physical tools anymore. I can use these ones here. The next one that I use, I would use for graphing particularly, and for transformations of graphs. So I would create a graph. I've created a graph in GeoGebra, and I've copied the graph twice, copied and pasted it twice into Smart Notebook. And I've made one of the graphs, I'm going to show you this one here, is transparent. And you have to try and make sure that the scale is the same, and they will lie on top of each other, obviously, for this activity. So this is an activity that I use for showing, say, a translation. So if I want to show that what will happen to the curve if I shift it 2 spaces up or whatever, then I take my graph and I shift it 2 spaces up. And then we can discuss what part of the equation leads to this translation. I can also look and see, well, if I put that back to there, the sine wave, what happens if I shift my curve pi over 2 radians to the left. And obviously, hopefully we have a discussion about, well, that looks just like the cosine curve and so on. So this transparency tool and using it for translations is pretty cool. I can also, what I've done with the original, the bottom graph, I've locked it. So if you look at the top right-hand side of the screen, you'll see there's a little lock there. So I've locked that so that when I'm moving my transparent graph, the bottom one won't also move. I can also, of course, use the flip up and down, and then I can show a reflection in the x-axis, and I can flip left and right to show a reflection in the y-axis. So that's the transparency tool, just an ordinary tool on a graphic for that. The next thing that I use is the dual screen. So if you think about having taught, say, the unit circle and all about what the vertical lines mean on the unit circle, what the horizontal lines mean on the unit circle. So you've done all your discussion points about the fact that this point here is the point cosine theta, sine theta, so the y value is the sine theta, etc., etc. You've done all that teaching already. So what I want to do now is I want to show how the unit circle produces a curve, a sine wave, for example. So if all the vertical distances are the sine, then I'm going to go to my graph, which is ready, steady, go, and hit the dual screen, and then I've got the two screens alongside each other. My unit circle is lined up, you'll notice, of course, with the 0, 180 axis along the x-axis here. And then I'm going to, we use this with spaghetti, so the students would have spaghetti. So I'm really demonstrating what they do with pieces of spaghetti. So I'm going to touch the 30 degrees, and I'm going to position it on the next slide. And then I'll take the 45 degrees, tap 45 degrees, and move it along to the next one. And the 60 degrees, move it along, put it in place. Oops, now that's all moved. That should be locked. Sorry, I should have locked that. Put the 60 degrees on, and the 90 degrees. 90 degrees comes across, and so on. So you can see what's going to happen. I move all those lines across, the bottom lines come across, and then I go to a single screen and we discuss what this looks like. And if I go to the tops of the curves and I draw along the tops of the lines, and it's going to give me the sine wave. And then the students will replicate that with spaghetti. So that's the dual screens. Now, if you wish to participate in the next activities, I'm going to use some of the Smart Learning Suite activities to show you that they're not just for primary school, they're not just for English or geography, they're very useful for maths as well. So if you want to join me, then please go to hellosmart.com, and that's my class ID, 850475. Okay, so the labeling function is very simple to use. It's from the activities here. And this is just the label reveal that I've got here. So I've brought in a picture of a box plot, and then we want to show all the different parts of the box plot. And so this could be an activity where you have someone come up to the class and they tap on a label, and then you might ask, what is the lower quartile? They might ask other students, and some discussion around this. But these are the labels as they are revealed as we tap through here. So there's the label. So that's a labeling activity which you can use in a multitude of different ways. Then the rank order tool. The rank order tool is this one. And this particular activity is ranking fractions, decimals, and percentages from the smallest to the largest, and setting this up is really, really super easy. So what we do here is if I go to, I see 3 people in here, I go start, and this allows you on your devices to play the game. Now, as a teacher, you can't see what the students are doing on their devices, but you can obviously walk around and see what they're doing, and there will be discussion around it. These games do take a bit of a while to load up. I'll just give you a few minutes to play that before I end it. I'm going to end it now. Sorry if you're in the middle of the game. Because what we could also do, of course, is bring students up to the board and ask them to do this activity. So you'll notice that I have it set up so that it's instant. So if it's correct, it will tell me it's correct. The ball in this basketball game will go into the hoop. People will cheer. I can also put music on. So some of the activities have music, others don't. This one appears not to have music. And so then I'm going to put in a wrong answer. So let's say I put in 17/50 next, and obviously that's wrong. It pops out. So instantly the student gets instant feedback that that is wrong, and then they can try again. So that's a really neat little activity too. So that's rank order, just a numeric rank order, and I can change that to really quite senior maths, and use the rank order to work out the derivation of the quadratic formula. And I think that you might hear the music playing in the background. I'm going to shut that off. And so the problem, though, with the activities is there's no math type, there's no equation editor. So you have to type these things up in Word and then screenshot them and then drag them into the activity. However, once it's set up, it's really a very good activity to use. Either have students line up and come and put these things in order. They can do it at their desks. So therefore, they have it at home when they're playing this. So you'll notice also there's a little square in the bottom right-hand corner. If I hit that, then that makes that particular graphic larger. So I start with a quadratic equation, and then I go to the next part. And this is also instant feedback. So as I go along, I'm going to put in the next one, and wrong, going to there, correct. And so I carry on. What I can also do here is if I look at this little star and I see this little hat, so I select a hat and I want to choose some students, and I've just put some random names in here. So these are my grandchildren. So I'm going to do that, put the names in, and I'm going to pick a student. And this way, without me picking on a student or appearing to pick on a student, I randomly select a student to come up to the board and do the activity. So that's actually quite a neat little thing to do as well. This one is a pairing game or a matching game. And this game is going to be looking for matching degrees to radians. And you'll notice also here that the radians have had to be typed up and dragged in as a graphic. This particular background has got music. It's some rock music. So if I go my 0 degrees and 0 radians, and so that's matched up nicely. 180 degrees and pi radians, and so on. So the game goes on. So I can shut that off. And once all of these are paired off, then you can review, you can reset, you can do the same thing, choose people to come up to the board and so on. So that's the matching game. I can also use the matching game for something else. It's like I set some homework on a worksheet, and before students sat down the next day, they had to match up. They had to show me their homework by doing this matching game. And I deliberately, it's a graph matched to an equation, but I deliberately didn't put the equation on the screen because I wanted to see where the students had done their homework. So I've put the letters and I've put some indication of what is correct and what is not. It can also be used as an exit card. So maybe students have done some work and before they leave, they have to show that they can actually get a correct answer. So for example, graph number one matches onto selection B. So this is the dragons here. And so graph number 2, and so students would come in and match these up before they sat down. So that's just another way of using the matching game as an activity. The other thing that we can do is embed or insert videos from YouTube really super easily. So I've got this one already in, and this is for linear programming. So there's some really good videos on things on the internet, and we should use them because they're right there. We can't have access to Belgian chocolate. And if I hit play, then it will load up and play. And of course I can... And of course I can maximize the screen and so on. So that's, find the video, embed it, it's right there, it's in your file ready to go. So I'll just show you how to do that. So I'm going to, there's a group of college students who have got a little song to Bohemian Rhapsody, and so I'm going to insert that. So I'm hitting this little add-on at the right-hand side, and I'm going to go to YouTube, and I'm going to say search, and I need some keywords, so I'm going to say Queen calculus, search, and this is the one that I want, the very first one, so I want that one, and I add the video, and there it is. So it's ready, embedded, ready to go. Now you'll see that this says click here to view video in web browser because it can't be played in Smart Notebook. When I first saw that, I just about had a heart attack, but nonetheless, if you just click on that as it says, then it will open in YouTube in its own web browser. So don't worry if you see things like that, you'll be able to play that. And it's opening up here. So that's a very good video. If you haven't seen it, you should play that. Students love it. Okay, and then there's the SMART response, of course, which I use as a quick quiz in the middle of a lesson just to check to see how they're going, or as a formal test, or to gauge opinion. So I'll just go through these methods that I've used with this before. Time is getting short, so we probably won't be able to do any of these quizzes. So I set this one up when I was doing function notation with a group of students. And I've clicked on the little pen button so you can see what the questions are. Remember, again, there's no math type or equation editor. So I'm using computer speak here, 3x caret 2 plus 1. So if h at x is equal to 3x squared plus 1, then h at 4 is equal to. And then this is a short answer. So I've got the correct answer here. And then I expect students to type in what they think the answer is. So I've got 7 questions in this little activity. If I go next, you'll see all 7 questions here with the answers, and then go finish, and basically it's set up and ready to go. So I'm not going to start this activity, even if we are chomping at the bit to get going on that. I'll just show you what the output is for that. So students did this little quiz, and this is what the output looks like. It comes up as you download it, export it as an Excel spreadsheet. So this is the Excel spreadsheet. You can see instantly that, first of all, Smart Notebook, Smart Learning Suite has marked the work for me. I haven't had to go away and mark it. I can see exactly who got correct, what is incorrect. And if I look at this last column here, I can see clearly that there's some misconception, because we have 4 students here who got an answer of 188 instead of 8. So that means I can look at the questions, I go to the activity, I go to the last question, look at the question and think about how did they get 188, and then I can do a teaching on that. So that's a very powerful tool. Now this is another Smart Response quiz that I did, and this was with the Year 13 calculus class. And it was one graph that they were presented with. Now remember, this looks very small for us, but students can hit that little square on their screen and that will make the graphic much larger. If I go through the results, you see on the bottom right-hand corner here, an ability to go through the results here, going left and right, questions 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 4, 3, 2, 1 to the left. And this is a word cloud. So I can see that does not exist came up more times than 2 and 4, and does not exist is in green. That tells me that that was correct. So those students will know that they were right as I go through this. And what I have found is where in normal tests, students are quite reluctant to admit that they've made a mistake. I'm amazed at the number of times that students will shout out or put up their hand and say, oh, I put down 2, I made a mistake and I thought this. So there's plenty of learning opportunity with this kind of thing. And this was a multiple answer, so they had to choose a variety of different numbers here, which were correct. And I can see that 15 out of 19 of the students got the answer correct. And so I know that that's quite a healthy sort of question. They understand that. And I can see that some people didn't choose E and H was a problem, and this person here has a problem. And I can find out who that is because I can go to export results down here, find out who that is and go and talk to that person. Our students had just sat exams and I wanted to get their opinion on several things. So rather than shout it out, I asked for their basic opinions on things. So I had asked about what did they think they got for a particular test. Sorry. Get rid of that. Okay. What did they think they got for a particular test? What did they think they would like me to do for the last few days of the term? And so on. So if I go through here, you can see that I move this out the way. I've got 7 students thought they got not achieved, 3 students thought they got achieved, 8 students thought they got merit, and nobody thought they got excellence. So they gave me an idea of what they thought they got for this test. So that's just to get opinions on several things quite quickly. And then the game show is a really fun thing to do. It's competitive, but it does allow for collaborative working. And I use this for a revision activity for my Year 13 calculus class at the end of the year. So I would split the class into 2, basically those on the left side of the room and those on the right side of the room. And then people from the left side choose a person and the others choose another person. Those 2 people come up to the front and we play this game show. It does have music attached to it. And they quite like this music. And they start to dance in the front to this music. So I've set up some questions. And so it says spin. So I spin the wheel. And this is a bonus question, so that's really cool. Spin again. And I'm going to get double points here. That doesn't often happen. Spin again. And here comes the question. So you'll notice again what I said, there's no math type, there's no equation editor, so I just have to do the best I can with what I have. So find the derivative for x equals -2. The answer here is actually 594. So I'm going to use my bonus point. So I'm going to use the bonus, and you'll see it knocks out one of the wrong choices. So I'm going to choose a wrong answer. So let's say this person chooses a wrong answer. So it says, okay, you got that wrong. We'll give it to the next side. So go to the next side. They choose, so choose that. That's correct. They get 150 points. You'll notice that the number of points drops as the wrong answers come through. Continue. My game show host is moved to the other side. They spin the wheel just by tapping on the screen, basically. Question pops up. So we're looking for the gradient of f at x when x is equal to 1. So I'm looking at an answer here. The correct answer is 8. Let's say they get it right. That's correct. And in the meantime, they are supposed to ask their team members how this, if they don't know the answer, their team members can help them and so on. So this is a very good activity. It's easy to set up and it's a lot of fun. And of course, you can have prizes at the end if you like. So basically, those are the activities I wanted to show you. And this is the Shout It Out, which is a fantastic one to do. So I'm going to ask you to participate in this one. And I'll just ask you a question to say, where are you going for the summer holidays? So I'm going to start. And on your screen, a little rectangle should pop up and you should be able to enter where you're going for the summer holidays. If you could enter that, that would be great. Ooh, Paris. Hunter Valley, nice. Just waiting for the light. Oh, there it is. It's under here. And Christchurch. Oh, welcome to Christchurch. So that's just a little activity, and I use this quite often at the beginning of a lesson. So I might say to a year 9 class, what do you think parallel lines are? And then they'll type it up and all the answers will pop up. Now, if I don't want them to see each other's answers, I'll just hit the little blind and that will cover the screen so that they can't copy each other's answers. And then I can just peek in here to see how many people have answered and so on. And then I look at all the answers and then I might be able to categorize them according to what they said. Or I might say to this person, well, you said this, why did you say this? And they'll explain a bit further what they meant. And that's very good for them to be able to talk about what they meant. Or what I have found is maybe this person here just said something that's completely incorrect. I'll say, sorry, but that's not quite right. I'm going to delete that response. And I delete that response. And to my amazement, if I had to do that, if I had to say to a student, that's completely wrong, they don't like that very much. But if I say, that's not really quite correct and throw it into the bin, they will laugh about it. And so it's really, really a very good exercise, this. So that's all I have for you today. I hope that there was at least one little thing there that you haven't used before that you will be able to use in the future. Bye. Over to you, Kendall.
Great, thanks a lot for that, Vicky. That was very interactive. I love it when the presenters get interactive. So we'll give a few minutes, well, a minute or two to see if anyone has any questions for Vicky. Okay, Vicky, we have 2 questions here for you. Yeah, are you still on the line there?
I'm listening.
Yeah.
I'm listening. Yep.
Yes. So first question is, how has utilizing these tools changed the learning in your classroom?
as I've indicated, it allows me to bring up wrong answers and discuss those wrong answers. It allows students to come up to the board, and that's very powerful for students to come up to the board and explain things that they've done, especially like with a matching game that might work there, or with the shout it out. The transformations, using the transparency tool, that means that I can visually show in real time a transformation on the screen. That also means a student can come up to the board and we can say, translate this graph by the vector 2, 3, and then let the student move it along, and that's extremely powerful. Smart Response gives me so much information that I can use. The students love to work with it. How it has helped also is students who would not normally participate are participating 100% of the time.
Great. And we have another question. What tools are your favorite and have changed the way you teach?
Shout it out, Smart Response. The gaming is the thing that I'm getting more and more into. So getting more and more into gaming means that it's becoming more and more fun, and students are having more fun. So just getting used to devising activities that are fun for them to do.
Okay.
Does that answer that?
Yeah. Yep, I'm just watching the questions coming in. So there's a third question, but this question may be for me. Any chance we can ask Smart to do an equation editor for Smart Lab?
Yes, please, so, please.
Yeah, I can definitely send that inquiry off to the software development team, and I can get back to you, everybody, on that. So
please.
Some questions. Some great questions there. I think that's it for the questions for now. Yeah, that seems to be it for now. Thank you so much, Vicky. I'll do a quick wrap up for everybody now.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good evening.
So if you want to get any free resources for your lessons, you can do so. You can go on content.smarttech.com, and that will take you to our Smart Learning Exchange, also known as SMEX, and there's loads of lesson structures there shared by teachers from all around the world. I'll just quickly recap earning the certificate for those who came in just after the start of this webinar. So if you would like to get a certificate, you can. You just go to training.smarttech.com and then scroll to the end and click on this button here that will pop up at the end of the webinar, the Mark Complete button, and that'll automatically download a certificate. I normally have this webinar up the following week. And that is actually our lucky last webinar for this term. So we'll be back with the Education Webinars 2020 week 2. We'll send an email out week 1, usually Wednesday of week 1, with the schedule, which will look similar to what you can see on the screen. It'll be an email that will take you to a landing page where you can register for all the webinars, or the ones that look interesting for you. Okay, so that is it. Have a great morning, afternoon, or evening, and thanks again, Vicky. That was great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Pleasure.
Bye, everyone.